And that, if somebody was paying me to build it, would be a really unnecessarily expensive battery box. But I like cool stuff and I made it myself. Welcome back to Darius's Budget Garage. I'm Darius. Today's project is going to be building a battery box. I'm sure there's one that you can buy, but I'm a fabricator and I want to fabricate. So anyways, got a little ahead of myself and decided maybe I'd document this. I seem to get a lot of interest in the fabrication type videos. So anyways, what I did is I've already cut my pieces to size. 10 inch by 6 1/4. The battery is 9 3/4 by 6. I figured I'd make my battery box about a 1/4 inch bigger than the battery. It can sit in there, it'll be clamped. I didn't want to build it perfect because we know how that goes. You build it perfect, then it doesn't fit. So I've had a few scraps laying around. That's how I like to build things. It's inexpensive and yeah, in a project that is not inexpensive. Had this little piece of 1/8 inch aluminum, kind of a strange cutout in the middle, but I don't know, call it a lightning hole. I've taken, I've cut my 4 sides. I've decided I want to do some lightning holes in it. So that's what you see with this layout here. I already did my punch marks here. And well, we're gonna get to drilling a bunch of holes. We call them lightning holes. I don't know how much weight you actually lose, but it looks friggin' cool. And I've always been a big fan of lightning holes. So anyways, we'll get to drilling.
I use Orbibits a lot when I'm drilling non-critical holes like this. It allows you to pilot drill and go right to the size you want. And I'm also able to use the next step after I hit the hole I want and kind of provide like a dimple-dyed look.
So I've got all my material prep done, as you can see. I still have the inside dimension of what I need all my plate to go around the outside of this guy. Now, we're gonna start fitting up the perimeter of this box. Now, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to try to hold all this and tack all this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece of square tubing and I'm gonna use this for a right angle deal for the corner, kind of a fit up assistance. I got my finger grips going on here, using this piece of box tube, hold the corner together, and there we go, perfect corner. Got all my lightning holes in here. What I've done is I take that Orbi bit and I go a little bit deeper and it kind of gives it like that dimple dyed look or whatever. I don't know, I think it looks neat. So anyways, we're gonna face those out. I'm just using a battery I had laying around. We're getting towards the end of this project and it's bleeding my bank account dry. So yeah, we're just gonna make do with a good battery I know I have. It seems like a common size. I should probably do some homework before I commit to building this battery box like I am. But at any rate, if I need a different size later, I'll build another one. Anyways, there it is. We're gonna get to tacking and we're gonna have a battery box here soon. Make sure we're set. Well, we're already set about where we wanna be, at 135 amps. It's my go-to for the 1/8 inch material. Anyways, we're gonna get to welding. So I've got it tacked up. Next step, make sure the battery works, fits. Fits like a glove, just like I hoped. That's a good thing. It's not always talent, usually it's just luck. So yeah, fits just like I wanted it to. The reason you're seeing this gap here is because this battery has a ledge on bottom. That's just how they are. That's how the factory tie downs work. So the battery's in. That's a good thing. Next step is basically weld it out. And what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna weld this thing entirely because it would turn this into a twisted up mess. So what I'm gonna do is what I'll probably know for a fact is I'll probably come, you know, maybe 1.5 inches around each corner. So let's just lay out 1.5 inches. So you can see here, I'm planning to wrap 1.5 inches each way out of each corner, about a 2-inch weld in the center. And then these corners, it'd be over welding to weld these things all the way. It doesn't need that kind of strength, but I think it would make it look more complete. So I'm gonna just weld these corners all the way up. I think that'll look good. And once we get this guy welded out, then we're gonna figure out the way to capture our battery from the top. So let's get to welding. So now we see we have the bulk of the battery box built. Now we're on to the part where I have to figure out a way to hold this battery in here. It's kind of complicated because I've got these caps on top here and there's just not a lot of room in between the caps. So I need something to come down rigid onto this battery that's going to be strong enough to safely hold this battery in the case of an accident, which we're going to not hope to have. But anyways, what I came up with is I got this little like 3/4 wide strip of aluminum. It's only like 1/8 inch thick. No, that's not strong enough. What I have is I've made it so it just fits real tight between those caps. Then what I've made is I've laid out this little bracket here. Nice little shape. It's gonna act like a strong back over the top of this battery. We're gonna trim it out. It's gonna be like a stiffener, and then we'll probably run some 1/4 bolts or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be tight and bend this thing all out of shape, but we have to have something fairly rigid. I don't know. We'll build it. We'll see what we get. We'll bolt it down. And I guess I'm no engineer, but I'm a pretty good judge of what's strong enough and what's not. Wouldn't be the first time I built something and we had to redo it. So anyways, let's get to it. So we've got our little stiffener cut out. I'm just gonna clean it up the last little bit. And there we go. Got this fancy little stiffener for the top of my little battery hold down. I hope this works. So I've got my little tie down strap on here. Set my stiffener on here. I still like it. The stiffener's just about as wide as the battery. And that's that. Let's make 2 pieces as 1 pieces. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this little guy here. I'm gonna use him for my holdy deal. So I'm pretty happy with how square that is. It's leaning slightly to the right, and the good thing about weld is I can just put a little weld on this side where I want my first weld to go, and things should get all trued up. This one's gonna take a while to weld out proper. The funny thing is, with these tiny little thin pieces of aluminum heat soaks and it completely changes the property of how it welds. So as you get it hot, it just stops welding good. It starts getting messy. So I'm gonna leave that alone, let this cool, and we'll get back to finishing this in a little while. Well, it's another day and we're finally gonna wrap this battery box up. I say finally because I started on this on like Monday and I'm finishing it today on Friday. I only worked on it Monday and today. But anyways, here we go. It's crazy how long this stuff takes when you're building everything by hand. But I've got something nobody else can have, and that's what makes this stuff cool. It's also what makes this stuff take a long time. So what I've got is I built my little truss deal here, my little battery hold down for the top. It fits snug between those battery fill caps. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run a bolt down here, and I'm gonna weld a tab. Got 2 tabs laid out. I'm gonna weld a tab on there. I'm gonna bolt through to the top here. I'm gonna drill and tap this material. This is 1/4 inch material. I'm gonna drill and tap it for 1/4-20. If I don't feel good about it, well, I'll just end up through bolting it, but it's always cleaner to drill and tap, in my opinion. Less hardware, less junk, neater looking, and race car. It's like, you know, 1/4 of an ounce less having no nut. So now, I've got my tabs made, they're drilled and tapped. I've got my top truss hold down deal, got it drilled, bolts will go through it. Great, all right. So I'm just gonna bolt these guys on, just like they're gonna live. And yeah, I'm gonna weld these things on just like that. Hopefully the battery doesn't explode. If it does, it'll be on camera. So here we go. Tack the hold down tabs to the battery box. Don't let the battery blow up. Not that I have any control other than making better life decisions. Here we go. Well, it didn't blow up yet. That guy on, what appears to be centered. Love it. Well, there we go. No explosions yet. Maybe that's not even a thing, I don't know, but we made it. And that, if somebody was paying me to build it, would be a really expensive battery box. Well, here we go. We've got a finished product here. There it is. We got 1/8 inch aluminum, lots of lightning holes. They don't have any function other than they look really freaking cool. But anyways, yeah, and then built this little truss for my little strap for tying the battery down to the battery box. And then I drilled and tapped these guys 1/4-20. I think it's neater. That way we don't have to have a nut on bottom. Anyways, yeah, pretty sweet if I don't say so myself. And if you liked it, subscribe, please. We'll see you on the next one.